the amount of detail that went into that sketch was amazing. Now, I've seen other demos with other software out there that are not quite as detailed as this.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And welcome back, one and all, to the Appraiser Coach Podcast. My name is Dustin Harris. I am the Appraiser Coach. We're going to pause here to remind you that we're sponsored today by three great companies, one of them being Alamode. Alamode Software, of course, helping appraisers with many integrated tools, which will help you to do more. Alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Datamaster, helping to save time as well with some great tools. Tech, we're talking tech today, folks. And Datamaster is where it's at if you want to save time with technology. DatamasterUSA.com, DatamasterUSA.com, and OREP Insurance. OREP is the E&O that I use in my office, not just for myself, but for all of my employees. We're actually all on the same policy because we are treated well at this company. OREP is where you need to be, OREP.org, OREP.org. All right, folks, let's talk sketching for just a little bit. I had my good friend, Mr. Tim Anderson, on not too long ago, just in the last few weeks, and we talked about sketching. Specifically, we talked about, is it the appraiser's duty to sketch? And I'll just let the cat out of the bag. I highly recommend, by the way, you go back and listen to that episode with Mr. Anderson. He is the appraiser's advocate. He is a USPAP expert, and he is wonderful. But I'll just cut to the chase. The answer is no. An appraiser is not required by USPAP, by Fannie Mae, by state law, at least in the states that I know of, to sketch a property. And then, of course, the question is, well, Dustin, then why do we do it? I mean, that's just standard operating procedure for most appraisers. And yes, you are correct. I think that might be changing, as we're going to talk a little bit about today. But forever and forever, I mean, I remember that being the first most challenging thing for me as a trainee in 1996. I remember my first house. It really, I drive past that house now. I still remember it. I know right where it's at. And it's kind of, in a rural area, so I rarely drive past it. I mean, maybe once every couple of years. But every time I do drive past it, I kind of slow down and pause and look at it and go, man, what was my problem? It really is not that hard. But honestly, as a trainee, that can be a challenging, difficult thing. To learn how to sketch is not an easy feat. Even for someone like me who has what I call spatial awareness. And by the way, that's not to brag, that just is. And there's studies out there that show that some people have it and some people really struggle with it. It's a personality thing. It's just kind of an innate thing. It's not really something you can learn. You're either born with it or you're not. And what I mean by spatial awareness, it's the ability of just kind of intuitively knowing where you're at all the time. And not to get too far into the weeds, but here we go. My wife does not have it. Again, there's nothing positive or negative about having it or not having it. It just, you either have it or you don't have it, right? But it's very common for my wife and I to go on a date together, and we walk out of the restaurant, we walk out of the theater. This literally happened last Friday. I'm recording this on a Friday. So 1 week ago, we walked out of the theater, and she walked left, and I started walking right, and she knew to not even question me. Right? She just immediately turned around and followed me because she knew I was right, because I have this spatial. I know where the car's parked. I just know. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to mark it on GPS. If you, almost anywhere, I don't care if I'm in the mountains, if I'm in the city, if I'm at home, it doesn't matter. If you say point west, I could immediately do it. I know exactly where west is. I know exactly where, I mean, not exactly, but generally, right? I know where north is. I know where south is. I know where east is. I don't even have to think about it. That's the thing. Now, my wife can do it if she thinks through it. Okay, that tree is north. Okay, I got it. I and I'm walking south, so to get back here, I've got to work. And again, it's not like she's constantly getting lost. But you know what I'm saying. Some people have the spatial awareness. They kind of know where they're at all the time. I mean, I can be in a basement of a big building, walk through a bunch of hallways, and pretty much have a darn close idea as to where I'm at and which way is north. That's just something I have. So when it comes to sketching, it's not that difficult for me. And the way this comes into play when it comes to sketching is the way in which the lines are drawn. And I see this a lot with my trainees. I see that we get to a house and they're new. And first of all, one of the funny things that I see is that they will stand. They have to physically stand in a certain direction to draw a line. right? Right. In other words, if they're drawing counterclockwise, for example, and they get to a 90-degree turn, they have to turn their body, physically turn their body that 90 degrees, or they, for some reason, can't connect the direction of whatever measurement they just took to their tablet and what they're putting on there. It's the funniest thing to me. Not that I haven't ever done that. I've done that before, but I see that there's, I had a trainee years ago, and bless her heart, love her to death. But she was with me 3 years, and she was still doing that. She literally has to physically turn her body every time she makes a movement with the sketch. It's funny to me, right? But the bottom line is, and again, we got off on the weeds a little bit, but the bottom line is the sketching's not easy, and it doesn't matter if you have spatial awareness or not. Sketching can be a difficult, challenging thing to do. And one of the things I see frequently happen with my trainees or employees or contractors is we might be out on an appointment, and we will get to the other side, and they'll say, we're 4 feet off. I'm like, 4 feet? How do you get 4 feet off? Okay, well, let's backtrack. Let's turn around. Let's go the opposite way, and let's just remeasure everything from the opposite direction. And let's just check ourselves. Okay, 12. All right, 16. All right, 2. Wait a second. 2. Yeah, 2. Yeah, but look at the direction that little pop-out is going. You put it down, it's actually pointed up if you're aligning with the street. Oh, yeah. And all of a sudden that 4 foot is found because they went the wrong way with the 2 foot. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's hard to explain over audio, but I think everybody within the sound of my voice, if you have raising more than a year, you know what I'm saying. You send that 2 foot down when it should have gone up, and all of a sudden you're 4 feet off on the opposite side of the house. And this happens frequently. Sketching can be a challenge. There's times when I show up to some of these luxury homes in Jackson Hole where I'll roll up and I'm like, oh, hell no, right? No, please don't be my subject. And the first thing I do in those situations is knock on the door and say, hi, I'm the appraiser. Let me ask you a question. Do you happen to have blueprints for this house? And I'm just holding my breath, right? Because it's sure nice when they have them and I can double check myself, especially when it comes to angles. Again, the bottom line is sketching is not easy. It is getting easier. There is technology out there that is being developed and is being used for many different industries. And of course, the appraisal industry is not immune to getting square footage, getting angles, getting sizes, getting even inside the room. I'm going to share with you an experience I had just recently after the break. But this sketching technology is there, and it works. How accurate is it? Well, it's pretty darn accurate. I've been following the news on this sketching technology, and in general, people are saying that it's probably more accurate than you can do on your own, and it's probably within 2 to 3% of exactness, right? It's that good. Now, some of you might say 3%. Well, 3% in square footage, or you get your little calculator out and start doing some calculations. Then, well, that can make a big difference. Can it really? I mean, 2 to 3%. You're better than 2 to 3%. You don't make a mistake 2 to 3% of the time overall. So you're telling me that if a room is 100 square feet and you measured it at 97 square feet, that's going to make a difference? I mean, that's literally what we're talking about here. Very, very little difference between reality and what you're sketching. And I don't know about you, folks, from the beginning, again, going back to 1996, and I got this from my mentor, I've got a comment in my report that says that the sketch is not to scale, that we, and I go through the explanation as to how we got the sketch, but I don't claim to be perfect on my sketching. To do so would be misleading in my reports. So this new technology is coming out, and the new technology is mostly 3D. The new technology is coming from a variety of different sources, and I'm sure everyone within the sound of my voice has seen, maybe not used, but seen this type of technology. One of the big companies that kind of owned this space over the last several years is Matterport. Look up Matterport, look up sample Matterport on Google, and you know what I'm talking about. I saw this technology years ago. Ernie Durbin walked up to me at a conference. I think it was in Vegas. It might have been in Baltimore, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, we were at a conference together. He walked up to me, and he said, you got a minute? And I said, well, yeah, I'm not doing anything. He said, check this out. So we walked over to the side of the conference room, or the side of the, I guess it was the vendor room, right? Everybody was in class, and I was out manning my booth, and we went to the side of the vendor room, and he says, here, put this on. And I knew what it was. I'd seen it before, but I'd never experienced it before. It was virtual reality, VR glasses, right? And by the way, this was, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe. This was a long time ago. And they were pretty arcane, right? They were pretty new to the marketplace, if you will. And he said, check this out. So I put these glasses on, and the first thing he showed me, I think, was a roller coaster ride. And I'm like, okay, I'm sick, right? I mean, if you've ever had VR glasses on, you know that it's a trip. I mean, it is very similar to reality. That's why they call them virtual reality, right? And then he says, okay, now check this out. And he switched the screen on his phone, and all of a sudden I was at a house, and I said, okay, there's a house. And he goes, walk through it. I said, what do you mean? He goes, do the inspection. Okay. So I start walking up to the house, and if I remember correctly, the dimensions on the outside of the house started showing up as I got closer to the walls, right? This is a 12-foot wall. This is a 16-foot wall. This is a 4-foot. This is a 2-foot. And then I was able to walk through the house, room to room. I literally was able to, quote unquote, kneel down and look underneath the sink, right? It was that detailed. Now, it was a vacant house, virtually, but it was amazing. And he said, I see this being the future of appraisal. And I thought, he's got something there. Now, again, that was 5-6 years ago, and we're just now starting to see this enter the appraisal world. There's a lot of companies out there that are utilizing this technology. There's a lot of big companies, big AMCs, big lenders, people in the investment field are starting to use this technology. And I want to share with you a little bit about what that means for you and I moving forward. But first, I want to pause here and remind you that we're sponsored by Alamode Software. Speaking of software that will allow you to be able to use technology to help you to do more. Folks, trust me when I say it does not matter what form-filling software you are using right now. And I don't care if you've been using it for 32 years. You could benefit from looking into Alamode. The amount of tools that are integrated and built in to this technology are absolutely amazing. Check it out. Go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. DataMaster, again, a technology helping to save time. Folks, when you save time as a real estate appraiser, you save money. Time is money. Check it out. Go to datamasterusa.com and save 30 to 60 minutes per report. Folks, this is stuff that you would have to put in the report anyway. This is stuff that you would have to either do yourself or hire someone else to do. But the technology itself puts it in the report with the punch of a button. It is absolutely amazing. datamasterusa.com, datamasterusa.com. And of course, OREP insurance. Folks, I constantly am learning new things about OREP insurance. And I'm talking benefits. Not just do they cover me from the E&O perspective, but their benefits are huge, including discounts at places like office supply stores, like rental companies, like travel. Yeah, travel with OREP insurance. Folks, these are just benefits and extras that you pay nothing more for, but will save you money. And it's on top of the great service that they already give you with their errors and omission insurance. Check them out. Go to OREP Insurance at orep.org. Again, that's orep.org. All right, my beautiful friends. Well, at least I think some of you are beautiful. I haven't seen you all, so there might be some ugly ones out there. You know who you are. Welcome back to the program. We're talking about sketching today. We're talking about specifically new technology that is coming out that allows you to be able to do very little when it comes to physical activity and get a lot when it comes to results. In the old days, and I'm talking now, right? In the old days, you had to walk around the home and measure each length. I use a laser measure. Many of you are using the roller or the 100-foot tape. But you have to measure each wall individually, and then you have to put it in the sketching program. Folks, there is technology out now that you can scan a wall, you can scan a room, and the technology will allow you to be able to recreate, if you will, that entire house, both inside and out. I'm talking very detailed sketches. Let me give you an example. About a week, well, it's been about 3 weeks ago. Not that it matters. About 3 weeks ago, I was in a conference room with an individual, and he showed me some technology that was on his tablet. Happened to be an iPad mini, I believe. Maybe it was a full size, doesn't matter. Anyway, he held it up. He said, watch this. And he basically did a 360 in the room. I kind of stayed behind him I didn't want to be scanned in there, so I kind of stayed behind him. But he basically kind of just held out his tablet and scanned up to the ceiling and down to the floor and up to the ceiling and down to the floor and up to the ceiling and down to the floor as he turned around in a circle. And then he hit a button, and the next thing you know, this sketch is created that not only included the walls and their dimensions and the doors, but it included the conference table and the chairs and what was on the table and everything else. Now, you could choose to not include those things in your sketch, but this technology literally was, there's no other way for me to describe it other than to say it was miraculous. It was amazing. I was very, very impressed. The amount of time that it took to scan that room was seconds. The amount of detail that went into that sketch was amazing. Now, I've seen other demos with other software out there that are not quite as detailed as this. One of the technologies that is being used these days is called Lidar. I believe you spell it capital L, small I, D-A-R, Lidar, with a capital D in there. That's why I said small I. Capital L, small I, capital D-A-R, okay? Lidar technology is found on all iPhone 12 Pro Max iPhones. I'm actually very disappointed in myself because about 6 months ago, I got a new iPhone. I did buy the iPhone Pro, right? So the big one, the big screen. But the difference between the Pro and the Max, or the Max Plus, I think I got the iPhone Max, but you can get the iPhone Max Pro. I don't remember. Anyway, there was one step up, My wife got the one step up because she wanted the cooler camera. And I'm like, I don't need a freaking cooler camera. I don't take very many pictures anyway, and the pictures that I take are just on the computer anyway, blah, blah, blah. And so I talked myself out of spending the extra money with the Lidar. I did not know that the Lidar was in there. I'm kicking myself because I wish I'd known. I have now practiced with some Lidar technology and some software. And it's amazing, folks. I can literally point my camera at a wall and it will tell you down to the millimeter how big that wall is. It is incredible. You can walk around a home. You can walk through each of the rooms and you can have everything drawn on the outside and everything drawn on the inside. Now, I want to go back to where we started on this program just a few minutes ago, 17 plus minutes ago. And I started talking to you about, is sketching required? And the answer is no. However, our clients do hope that we have something in there like that, right? It is something that has become expected. Again, not required, but expected. And therefore, we do it. When we go out and do inspections, we typically are sketching the property. We typically are doing what we need to do when it comes to our clients' expectations. Folks, if you have technology that can help speed that process, why not utilize it? I see a lot of these companies being bought up by other companies, meaning there's a lot of these big lending and AMC institutions buying up technology. Why? Because they want to integrate it into their product. Now, I've seen some complaints, and this needs to be another podcast because there's a whole lot to be said on this. But I will say this much. I've seen some complaints online from appraisers and say, what are they trying to do? Replace us? Well, you know what my answer to that is? I hope so. I hope that they're replacing the inspection side. I mean, come on, really? An appraiser has to be on site. Now, I grant that there are exceptions to this rule. There's times that I feel like I need to be present, right? I had one the other day, luxury home in Jackson, that I absolutely could have sent a trainee to. He is qualified. He has the abilities. The client allowed it, right? And I chose to go out there myself. It was one of those properties I felt like I needed to be there myself, okay? But for the most part, do we really need to be on site, appraisers? Do we really need to be data collectors? I know a lot of you think that that's your job security, but folks, trust me when I say your job security is in the analytical side. If you want to see a future in appraisal, it's not going to be by being boots in the living room. The future of appraisal is to take data and to analyze it properly, to use your expertise and your background and your knowledge to analyze that properly. So this new technology I think is awesome. I do. Is it perfect? No. Is there a learning curve? Yes. Are some of you going to say, I'm tired of learning new things. I'm tired of changing my business model, Dustin. I don't want to do it anymore. I get it, folks. I do. I get it. But I do think it's coming. I do think the wave is coming, and I think it's kind of exciting. This technology is fun. It's exciting. It's amazing. It will blow your mind when you get a chance to peek at it and take a look at it and to utilize it yourself. And that's my opinion. I think that moving forward, you're going to see more and more of this coming. We're going to see less and less time, if any, on site when it comes to subject data collection. And in the end, we'll still have what we need to perform the appraisal process and to report properly our process. If you want to know more about upcoming technology, we meet on a monthly basis at the All-Star team. This is an interactive meeting. It's a 2-hour meeting on Zoom. And yes, you don't have to be there. You can listen to or watch the recording later. But we have an interactive meeting every single month where we talk about this kind of thing. And we go into detail about how to change your business model to meet the upcoming changes in the world of appraising. I hope you will join us. You can find out more by going to my website, theappraisercoach.com.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.